Hey, this is Gavin Palmer with Hero Looking for Group, presenting an idea about load balancing. So let me just give you a peek at the end. So what I've discovered is that the number of partitions can be increased in order to reduce the amount of energy it takes to empty and refill the reservoir. This is a load balancing visualization. So what you have is, in general, is a system. And so I have a visualization, and it can be proved mathematically that you can do load balancing, or another way to phrase it is work cooperatively. So in every system, there is a way to work cooperatively in order to accomplish a goal by dividing the labor. And what happens when you divide the labor is that each individual unit is able to work less in order to accomplish the goal, but also the system as a whole can work more efficiently. So not only does each individual work less, but also the system as a whole works more efficiently. That's the claim. That's what can be proven mathematically, and what I will prove here. And I just refer to it as load balancing because the pattern is used everywhere you are trying to actually do something. So let's imagine a reservoir and we want to empty and refill the reservoir efficiently. So the most naive approach is to drain the reservoir into a partition and then lift that partition up a distance of 2 times the height of the partition, and then you can empty that fluid back into the reservoir. So you are able to empty and refill the reservoir. So now we're going to add a partition. We're going to add a unit of labor that are going, and the units of labor will work in cooperation to accomplish the goal. So the top half is drained into the top partition. So these are equal partitions that are going to help accomplish the goal of the system. The top half of the reservoir is drained into the top partition. These partitions are stacked. And then the second half of the reservoir is drained into the bottom partition. And then we need to lift the fluid up so that we can reset the state. Now notice that this is very different than this. So with one partition, the whole partition had to get above the reservoir. But now that we have 2 partitions, you don't have to get above the reservoir because you actually went a distance of 2 times the height of the partition, but the partition is half as tall. So now we empty the bottom partition back into the reservoir, and we empty the top partition back into the reservoir. We have accomplished the goal with half the work, right? And there may have been some more complexity and some more time, but we were able to accomplish the goal with half the work. So what you can do is you could imagine having just increasing the number of partitions, and if you are into mathematics, if you increase the number of partitions to an infinite number of partitions, then the amount of energy to reset, to empty and refill this reservoir can go to 0. So each partition in a system, what is the unit? In a lot of systems, they are humans. And so as you add more humans to accomplish the goal, the amount of work each individual human does decreases, and the efficiency of the system as a whole is increasing. So the amount of work that needs to be done as a whole decreases. And this is something that I believe is very incredible. It's why my name is Hero Looking for Group, is because I understand that one partition has to do a lot more work. And I would say, the amount of work that one individual can do is to actually solve some of these problems in our world is impossible to do alone. But through this cooperative effort of the group of units working together cooperatively to accomplish the goal, the amount of work that needs to be done actually can approach 0 as a whole, and as a holistic view. It actually becomes very low energy, but it just requires that each individual is working cooperatively to accomplish the goal. And so as more people start to work together, as more units start to be used to do the load balancing, and it is done with a proper strategy so that there is cooperation, then each individual is able to do less work, and the system as a whole, it requires less work. It's very powerful. So I appreciate your attention. You can get in touch with me in the Discord channel below. Thank you for your time and attention.